Hey, ESU 13. My name is Juan Cangas. For those of you that haven't met, I'm going to be the camp director for the summer camps. Sorry I can't be there. I'm out of town, but I want to help. This recording will give you enough information to get you started in recruiting students for the summer camp that we're going to be hosting out there in Western Nebraska. So let's get right into it. Um, so um, Basically, the camp that we're going to be doing out there in Western Nebraska is called the Foundations to Success Camp. And every document that I'm going to be sharing with you, I'm also going to include in an email to Justin, so that way he can share with you all. So you'll have all of these documents. Okay. So the first one is this camp is really geared towards ninth and 10th graders. And it's the camp is basically about helping students develop the foundational skills and habits that they need in order to succeed academically and personally. Now, really, it's any student in high school could come out. It's just more geared towards the ninth and 10th graders. So I would look at those students first to try to recruit, and then if you have some open spot, maybe invite some 11th graders and some 12th graders. The location is going to be at the Western Nebraska Community College in Scotts Bluff. The students, I'm arranging, for the students to be able to stay overnight there in the dorms. They'll have all the meals there. The dates are going to be Monday, June 3rd through Thursday, June 6th. And there are 40 available spots. Now, the reason I put this down is because I think each project was allotted a certain amount of spots that the state is going to pay for. I think for ESU 13, there is 15 spots that you all were designated. However, if you want to bring additional students, there is the capacity to do that because we have 40 spots available. So if you want to bring additional students beyond what the allotment that you receive from the state, it would just be the all-inclusive price of $1,150 per student, and that covers everything. That covers lodging, that covers food, that covers all the expenses for the for the camp, and then also any kind of programming or any supplies and materials. On the right here, you're going to notice that we have some deliverables. So basically, what this costs include and what the students are going to get. They're going to be able to participate in leadership workshops that are going to address the following: developing foundational habits, skills, and support systems to help students succeed, goal setting and visualizing future goals, effective interpersonal communication skills, and then opportunities and benefits of higher education. I love for students to walk away with something, so they're gonna be walking away with a copy of the Big Life Journal. So throughout the camp, they're gonna be they get this journal, and it's basically like a life journal where they go through it, and it helps them. It has like motivational quotes. It has some different descriptions of goals in there, and they'll actually get to write some of their goals in that book and in their journal. It's a science-based journal that helps teens develop a resilient and growth mindset. They're also going to get a chance to network with some upper class high school and college students. I might be reaching out to you all to see if you can connect me with, especially if you have any migrant students that are in college now or upper class high school students. And then they're going to be completing a capstone project. So they're going to be working on a foundational book that they create for themselves. And they're going to have extensive opportunities to improve their presentation and public speaking skills. So this form is for you all, so you can kind of go through there and see, hey, what are the students going to be getting from the camp? And then the next form I want to go over is basically going to be, hold on, I want to make sure y'all get this right. The next form y'all are going to get is this form that says expectations and responsibilities of empowering student leaders. So I wanted to make sure that you all understand what you should expect out of me and in my company as we're putting on this summer camp. So the first thing is you should expect from me to give you all promotional materials like flyers and videos to help you and recruit the students for the camp. Now, again, I'm going to give you the links for this in an email, but you're basically going to have this flyer right here to be able to recruit students with. Now, I'm going to give you an English version, and then there's also going to be a Spanish version. And it has all the information about the camp, right? It has the dates, it has the locations, it has some of the reasons, that you can pitch to your students about why they should attend. And then it also has a video. So they can scan it, or you can just click on there and it'll bring up a little video of previous year. about 3 minutes, but it basically walks them through some of the activities that we did last year. So I will send you this document in a PDF. Now, one of the things you could do in that other districts, other projects have done, is I left an open spot right here on the top or the bottom left. So that way you could maybe put down your contact information in case students have questions. So for those of you that don't know how to do that, you basically just go up here to this pin looking tool up here. You would go to this right here, and then you can start writing. So you could write down the name of the contact person in case parents or students still have some follow-up questions about it. So for example, you could write down boom boom, oops, and then write down the contact information, and then make it bigger here. You can change the font. So you'll be able to put your contact information there, and then that way students can have your contact information in case their parents need to ask you any questions about it. So I will provide that for the camp. The other thing that we'll be providing is a template of an informational camp letter. I'll detail that a little bit later, but basically it's gonna be a letter that you send home that has all the information that the parents need in order to know everything that they need to know about the camp, right? So it's gonna have drop off and pick up times and locations, transportation plan, a suggested packing list, and meeting details about the camp staff. And then it'll have my contact information as well. And then it'll even have a time when we're going to be having a virtual meeting so that students or their parents can meet me beforehand and ask me any questions about the camp. And then another thing you should expect is that we're going to be doing all of the facilitation. So my company and other facilitators I'm going to hire you, we're going to be doing all the facilitation and organization of the camps. So that includes I'll be securing the lodging, the meals, and the programming space for the camp. I'll plan and execute all the programming. There'll be 24-hour supervision of students by myself and the staff. Transportation during the camp. So now each project is going to be responsible for trying to arrange transportation to the camp and then after the camp, but anything during the camp we will be providing. Additionally, we're going to maintain strict safety measures during the camp, and then in case of a medical or personal emergency, I'll have the parents' contact information and the MEP staff members, and they will be notified. We've been doing camps for about 13 years, so luckily we haven't had anything major ever happen, but just in case, we'll have some protocols in place. Me and my staff will all have completed background checks, first aid and CPR certification, and also mandatory reporting training for all staff participating in the camps, and those will be made available to MP upon request. We will be providing at least 2 facilitators of opposite genders for each camp, and then we're going to increase that to ensure a ratio of 1 staff member for every 10 students. So the more students that we get, the more facilitators we'll have in order to make sure to continue to have that ratio to interact with their students. And our camps really are geared towards migrant students, especially students that are learning English. So we'll have some scaffold programming to make sure that students are understanding the curriculum. I'm going to host a virtual parent and student information session, as I mentioned, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that later. So that way the students and parents get the chance to ask me questions. And then you're going to figure out, part of your responsibilities as the project is going to be to figure out what is going to be the transportation plan for the families, for the students to and from the camp, and then back home from the camp. If you are going to have, some projects drive their kids down to the camp, and some projects are going to want the students and their families to be responsible for that. So what will happen is if you all decide that you're going to have the families drive the students down and you let me know that, then from that moment, I'll start communicating with the families that are driving their students to camp to ensure an efficient drop-off and pick-up experience. So that way that day of, I'm not having to call you and then you call me and then you be the middle person. I'll be in direct communication with the families to let them know where they need to drop off and pick up their students. And then lastly, other thing you should expect from me is after the camp, I'm going to provide an impact report for you all. So it's basically a qualitative and quantitative report that gives you all information about the outcomes that we met during the camp. And this is something you can show to to people in your school district, and people that are telling you, hey, what did the students get from the camp? You're going to have a full report of all the outcomes from pre and post survey results. So that's what you should expect from us. Now, there's some expectations that I have of you all. One is that I need to know, I want there to be a designated staff member or a group of staff members that are going to be my main point of contact for the summer camps. And then that way, if I have any questions that I need to follow up with, I have this direct person that I can contact, or this, 2 or 3 people that I'm contacting about any questions. For example, if a student doesn't fill out, a form completely, I need to be able to know who do I need to go to in order to make sure that we get all the forms filled out. The project will be responsible for recruitment of students for the camps. Obviously, you work with the students, you have direct contact with them, so it'll be on you to be able to recruit those students for that camp. Also, you're going to be in charge of securing registration liability release forms and returning them to ESL. I'll tell a little bit later how you're going to be able to return those forms to me, but basically, you're going to have this form right here. This is the registration form for the camps. It's in English and Spanish, but there's basically 3 pages. There's the general information form that I need to have filled out. There's the parental permission and release of liability form. And then there's the consent of personal image use form. So as you've seen in the, some of the flyer stuff, we use pictures in some of the videos. So that's why we ask for permission to be able to use the student's image for promotional purposes. So these are the forms that we need from the students, and they need to be returned. And I'll tell you when they need to be returned here and how they need to be returned. Another thing you all will need to decide is what's your transportation plan. As I mentioned before, is your project going to be transporting students into the camp and back home? Or are you going to be having the families transport the students to the camp and back home? Like I mentioned before, projects have done different things before in the past, but just decide what you're going to do. And that way we can communicate with families and then communicate with me, so we're all on the same page. Lastly, or not lastly, but another thing is you're going to need to send out informational camp letters to all campers with important details of the camp and parent meeting by the deadlines below. So as I mentioned before, I will give you a draft information camp letter. It's going to look something like this. It's going to basically have the information of the camp. So it'll have when the camp is, when the times that they need to check in, and then when it ends and the checkout times. It'll also have the location of where we're going to be hosting the camp. And then once I get the exact dorms we're going to be staying in, I'll put that information in there. Additionally, you need to be able to choose your transportation plan that you're going to communicate to families, right? And then pick one of these and delete it. Now, this form, I'm going to send it to you as a Word document, so you can edit it, you can translate it into your different languages. But I'm going to give you this draft so you can have something to work with. It also have what students need to bring. For example, this camp is going to be 3 changes of regular clothes, 2 changes of clothes to play sports, toiletries, any personal medications, an extra blanket, and then money. It's not necessary, but sometimes kids want to bring some so they can buy some things from the vending machine. We will be providing sheets, towels, pillows, and blankets for all students, and then we'll be providing all meals as well. I also put down my information there, so my name and my cell phone number, so that way parents have that cell phone number so they can call me at any time, because I'll be at all of the camps. As I mentioned before, I'm going to have some virtual meeting times where the parents can log in or call in, and then that way they can ask me any questions about the camp, and I can detail kind of some of the things we're going to be doing. And then lastly, for those parents that are going to be driving their students to the location, I'll have this additional form right here, which is basically a picture in an exact location they need to park and they need to drop off in. I found this really, really helpful in the past, so that way parents already know exactly where they need to drop off and exactly where they need to pick up. So I'll provide this draft again in Word document, and then you can edit it, translate it, change some of the things in it, according to, however you want to do that. But I'll give you the general information. So going back to this, I will provide that letter, but you need to be able to send it out. And then lastly, confirm student attendance 1 week before camp. So there are some very, very important due dates, that, things that need to get done. So here's some of the timeline. On April 1st, I need to have final guaranteed numbers attending each camp from your project. Now, these aren't, like, after this April 1st, you can still add more people, but that final guaranteed numbers, what that's going to do is, one, that's going to be the amount, like, whether if there's less students that come in, then that's the amount that's going to be charged to the project, or not to the project, but to the state. And if you want to add additional, that's fine, but you can't take that number down after April 1st. That's also a date that we're going to start looking at what projects, how many students projects are bringing. And we might be, for example, if you're designated 15 and you only bring 10, or plan to bring 10 students, we might take those 5 seats that were yours, and we might give them to another project if you're not going to use them. So that day also, I'll be sending out the template informational camp letters, so that way you can start, translating them and putting in any information you want to put in, so that way they're ready to go when you need to send them out. May 1st, this is the day that all student camp applications and release forms are due to me. This is the final day to add any more students to the camp if spots are available. So, this is the absolute last day that we'll be able, especially for the Foundations of Success Camp, because really the camp starts in about a month after that. So here's some deadlines. For you all, just focus on the Foundations to Success Camp, unless you're planning to also bring any students to the other camps. So the day that you need to send out the informational camp letters, the final day, I would say, would be April 29th, because that way you give parents enough time to be able to plan out whether they can attend one of the virtual meetings, because they'll usually be about 2.5 weeks before the camp actually begins. So as I mentioned here, so this is gonna be the days. So May 15th and May 18th there's gonna be 2 time frames, 2 different times that parents are able to join the foundation, the parent meeting, to ask me questions about the camp. And then lastly, 1 week before each camp, MAP staff members confirm student attendance by phone calls. After doing this for 13 years, and you know this as well as I do, students just need to be reminded again and again and again. And so some of the most successful projects, whenever I've done work with them, they have reminded their students a week before, hey, just confirming you're going to be coming to the camp. Is there anything else you need from us? Just to confirm that they are attending, they're going to be there. So I'll remember, just a reminder, I'm going to give you all this information, and so you can look it over. Now, this is the way that you're going to submit this. I've sent this email to Justin. Justin, if you need me to be able to add other people to this specific form, you just let me know. But basically what's going to happen is, this is how you're going to be able to upload, the registration form. So Justin, you should have an email like this. If you want me to send it to someone else, just send me their name and their email. And it's going to take you to this page right here. All the forms that I talked about are going to be down here as well. But I will also send you an additional email that you can share with staff. And then you'll just fill out the main person, contact information for the main person here. Who's the person that I need to, I can communicate with about the camp from your project. So that's that information there. If you have some projected numbers, if you can kind of give me, even before April 1st, hey, what are some of the numbers that you're thinking about sending for the camp? If it's just Foundation Success Camp, if you're planning to bring any other students to any of the other camps, put those projected numbers there. Here's the transportation plan, right? So this is where you'll let me know, like, MAP will transport students, or are they going to be responsible for their own transportation? Or are you going to be transporting some students, and then some students are going to be transporting themselves? Just communicate that information to me. This is where you upload the registration forms. So you can just drag and drop them right here. in PDF forms. And then lastly, by April 1st, this is where you'll give me those final numbers for the Foundations to Success Camp. How many students are you having? Are you going to be bringing to the camp guaranteed? The great thing about this form is that even when you get out of it, it will save your information, so you don't need to fill it out all at once. You can always come back to it. Each individual project is going to have their own private link, and so as you go back in, it'll save your information, and then that way I'll be able to see, what information you filled out and what still needs to be completed, and we could just make sure to keep everything as organized as possible. So that was a lot. The biggest thing I think for all of you all is, here's the flyer. Use that video to be able to show the students what the camp is going to look like. It's going to be overnight. Any staff member is able to come out to the camp at any time. Just to kind of give you a breakdown of a schedule, basically. From the moment we wake up, usually around 7:30, 8 o'clock, have breakfast. Really, I'd say from 9 till 9 p.m., we're doing something with the students. Whether it's a workshop, whether, we're going out and playing activities with them, to the evening activities. In the evening, we'll have some different activities for the students. We'll have, and they'll be fun. Like, we'll have like maybe a lip sync battle. We might do like a poetry night. We might do a movie night, right? So the students are doing something throughout the whole time. And then we usually like 9 o'clock, we'll have the students be in their bed or in their room. And then we'll do room checks around 10 p.m. So it's a full day's worth of activities that the students are participating in. And all the things that they're doing, because I worked a lot with, ESL students. Those are my main students that I work with. It's very experiential, right? So they're not just going to be sitting there listening to someone speak the whole time like you all have right now. It'll be them doing activities like you can see right here in this picture, right? It'll be them debriefing in small groups. It'll be active, be experiential learning. They won't just be sitting there. And so that way, hopefully they get a lot from it. And most of the students that have come, honestly, to all the camps, they end up enjoying it tremendously, because they get to build connections with other students, learn something that's practical that they can help them be successful in school, and they leave having a lot of amazing memories about the camp. So hope that was helpful. If there's questions that you have, please give them to Justin so he can give them to me. I will do my best to be able to answer them. And then I'm going to communicate this to Justin in email too, but I'll let you all know. I'm actually going to be down there probably around the third week of March. I'm going to be going to Alliance to do some recruitment with them. I know that your area is really huge, but I'd love to meet with the staff at least so they can get to know me. And maybe there's times there where you can ask me some questions, and we can maybe go over some of the challenges you're facing in recruiting students. Or if there's a high school that has a lot of your migrant students, I'd be willing to come out too, but I'll talk to Justin about that. So I'm looking forward to working with you all on this amazing project. I've been wanting to do a camp down in Western Nebraska for a while, and so I'm glad that we got an opportunity to do this now. So take care, okay? Bye.